Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Profiling Evil by Mike King. It is Monday night, choir practice in the United States at the home base. It's choir practice wherever you are in the world. Chris, welcome. How was your Christmas?
Mike, Santa hit the house. He left a whole bunch of things, and we had a great time. How about you guys? What did you guys do?
Yeah, we had a great day as well. I mean, it was great to be with family. We had them come over for a few minutes. Everybody was in masks, even the little ones. We exchanged some gifts. We actually packaged up food this year. We had it in sacks, and we told them all we loved them. We virtually hugged and sent them out the door with their box of food and their gifts. And it ended up being kind of a weird but really cool day. But it was really upset by the bombing in Nashville.
Yeah, no, that was a loop, right? I mean, that guy, what a nut job. I know you've been staying on top of it. What do you think?
Yeah, it was named today. Named yesterday. Anthony Quinn Warner, 63-year-old, kind of a loner, and fit the profile perfectly. Now, a lot of people are pretty shook up about the inbound missile that hit downtown Nashville, according to some doctored imagery that has been out on the web. And that has been debunked over and over again. But again, I think some people will continue to look at that as an option, but really impractical.
Yeah, no, it's a hit on the AT&T building for the infrastructure in there. And right across the street there are some really cool little restaurants. I mean, you've got the Spaghetti Factory, the Fondue Shop. I mean, Karen and I used to go there all the time when we lived in Tennessee. So it's interesting that was the target area, but it's the building. I mean, and he wasn't wrapped real tight, it sounds like. So we'll see.
It'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. And folks, if you've had an opportunity to see that online, great. If you haven't, just look on our YouTube site, and you'll see some extra content in regard to that. We hope that you'll be subscribing tonight if you're not already a subscriber. We are blown away. 46,000 subscribers for the 6 months, 5.5 months we've been in business. That is just absolutely unbelievable and very gratifying. Thank you to all of you. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and the notification button so that you get all of the updates on it. And if you you're in a position to do so, please consider joining our channel memberships. It's a great way to support us further. Really appreciate it. And maybe while you're reading off a few people that are in the house here tonight, visiting from the family, Chris, we could have the back office pull up the map to show where people can sign on and put your location. And you don't have to put your home address, folks. Don't freak out. You can just normalize it to some location in your community or your state. Just as a fun way for us to see how we're reaching across the world. But who do we have from the Profiling Evil family here?
So we have Miss Shoreland, Sandy Lee, Brent Montgomery, Sophie H, Miss Sophie, Sandy Lee, MK. Let's see here. Margaret Lyons, welcome. Sherry Long, welcome. JRS. Great. It's great to see everybody here. Donna Pashan, High Princess Illumination. I love it. I've always loved these names. These names are just awesome. Margaret Good, Sandra Chapman, Four Sons Mom. Good to see you. Let me keep going. Candy Scarlett, Beth Hindi. Let's see. Tracy Knapp, Jody Hudson. Who's Profiling Evil? Barb Newman, good to see you. Hi, Barb.
Hey, Chris, we ought to shout out to those wonderful mods that help us out.
Oh,
and you can see on the screen the map for the Profiling Evil family, and you can see this amazing reach that we have around the globe. It's absolutely incredible. Yeah. And frankly, this is only about I think I don't know. Well, less than 8% of the family that's weighing in here. So hopefully it's pretty representative. Now, hey, everybody, if you haven't had a chance to go online and order my book, it's at the printer. It will be shipping mid-January to everybody that's pre-ordered. But my new book, Deceived, pretty excited about that. So please give that some consideration. Profilingevil.com.
I'm just waiting for the movie. I really am. I mean, so have you been contacted yet by somebody to write the doggone script for this thing? I mean, come on, this thing is amazing. It's amazing.
It will be interesting. I did an interview today with Ed Opperman, and he is a big time radio talk show. Of course, Dr. Judy Ho has a show coming up in January where she'll be featuring the book. So yeah, really excited about it, and just so grateful for everybody's support.
It's coming.
It'll be interesting to see, and I hope everybody caught. We're starting to roll out now our Court TV appearances. Chris and I have been appearing regularly on Court TV with Vinny and team, and it's given us a chance to kind of share some concepts and some ideas. So, yeah, who we got there, Chris? I don't have my glasses.
Melissa Carville, thank you so much. Maybe one day we can have someone from NecroSearch International. Hey, that'd be a great idea. Have them reach out. And we'd love to get them in here. You'll have Tyler talk to them. We'd love to see it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Folks, that's a perfect reason to shout out and say thank you for any of the donations that you give. It's always appreciated, and we will talk about that. I got corrected today. I said pseudonym in a recording this week, and I got corrected by like 18 or 19 people telling me it's pseudonym, and I should have known that, but I've worked with Chris for so long now, I'm starting to pronounce words the way I want to.
Hey, Airstream update. So
okay.
The factory is apparently some of the suppliers are behind because of COVID. So I'm probably shooting for February. So I've got January covered. So we'll see what happens. But somebody put in there, is Chris sitting up on his Airstream because of my blue background? Soon. Thank you so much. It's coming.
That's going to be fun to see when it happens. Well, Chris, I wanted to introduce you to an amazing person that I met this week. I'd like to bring up and introduce you to John Minck. John lives in Palo Alto, California. And John, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great, Mike. This is quite an experience, I must say.
Well, good. Now, Chris, John turned 90 years old just in the last couple of weeks. And he is a retired IT professional from Hewlett-Packard, I think, wasn't it, John? Hewlett?
Right, exactly. Actually, I'm an engineer, not an IT microwave engineer, but no problem.
Okay.
Close enough.
I'll tell you what. So I want the back office to pull up a little. I got an email this week from John, and in there was a certificate recognizing some stuff. He watched the Dr. Phil show last week and saw the Zion Society, and he sent me this attaboy for working with the Zion Society people. And John, we get literally hundreds of emails a week, and I just was really touched by this. And so, I'd like you to maybe just take a moment and tell everyone what an attaboy is and what a 90-year-old man who, I got to brag you up just a little bit more, John, by the way, Chris. John took care of his wife until she passed away a few years ago, Chris. They had a 60-plus year marriage. And this is a man who served in the military. He was in the atomic testing program as a young Air Force recruit. And he has not only served our country, but he served behind the scenes with his dear wife. And now, as he says, he's looking out the window from his apartment or his home. And I want you to hear what this guy does to bless the lives of others. So, John, just tell Chris a little bit about what you do, and keep in mind there are going to be, 100,000 people in the next month that will hear your story.
Well, this is quite stunning to me. I've been awarding these attaboys, which I call my Nobel Prize, Noble, which you might have seen on the on the certificate. I'm over 700 by this time, and I get such wonderful responses. Not from everybody, but typically yours is a typical. This is unusual response to be offered a point on air. But for example, I awarded 10 attaboys to a detective back in New York who got a guy out of prison who had been falsely imprisoned. And for those, I typically get a letter. But the responses are what makes it, with 700 of them out there, people come back with just, they don't expect to see a certificate fall out of the sky. I just really enjoy, because in this case, I just happened to tune by Dr. Phil. And when I saw what you had done for those 5 women, rescued them out of the Zion cult, this is just typical of what I offer. I awarded one to Dr. Fauci for good pandemic work. I awarded one, there's an old guy, 100 years old in my YMCA, who's a World War II B-17 pilot, 35 missions. And, somebody like this just gets an unexpected attaboy. In his case, when you get to 35 missions, this is what is so fascinating about it. When you get to 35 missions in World War II, you got to choose your next assignment. Well, it turns out when he originally enlisted, he wanted to be a P-38, a fighter pilot. They needed bomber pilots, so that's where he served for 35. I don't know how he made 35 missions. So he had his choice, and he chose to come back as a fighter pilot, told his girlfriend back in the States, and she said, if you don't come back here and work for the training command, don't come back to me. So, see, these kinds of responses just give just a wonderful vision of humanity. And yours is just a unusual response. I never ever expected to hear back from you and to find out what you're doing. I see your website as a clearinghouse for missing kids and so forth. It's a wonderful thing you're doing, Mike.
Well, John, no, it's a wonderful thing that you're doing. I mean, a lot of people could be sitting in their 90s complaining about their aches and pains. And while you've been blessed with some really good genes, there are a lot of things you could do, but you are busy out there blessing the lives of others. And that's something that's really important. Chris, I know we talk a lot about the fact of this amazing number of people that we met that are constantly looking outward. And this is one of those.
This is great. I mean, John, you're going to get the first ever Profiling Evil attaboy. Right here. We're giving it to you. You're well deserving. We can only imagine, to Mike's point, how many lives you've blessed. It's just an absolute honor and a privilege to meet you. I'm so grateful that you're here.
Yeah, this is quite an unusual website. Thank you for inviting me. I won't take any more of your time, but it's great.
Well, John, I want you to meet our next guest, which I'd like to bring up, and I'd like you to meet him because I think he needs you to really consider some him, and as you listen tonight, I think you will. Our guest tonight is Sergeant Chris Cosgriff. He's a full-time peace officer in the United States. He has been a police officer for a number of years, recently promoted to sergeant. But the thing that's so special about Chris, we met, I guess, 2 or 3 years ago, Chris. Chris has founded a website called Officer Down Memorial Page, and he did it while he was in college at James Madison University, where he was studying. Since then, this website has grown to and carries the name of more than 24,000 police officers who have died in the line of duty, which is very tender to me and Chris, obviously, having served in that noble profession. So we are really honored to have Chris with us tonight. I wanted you two just to chat for a moment before we say goodbye to you, John, and then we'll start with Chris.
Chris, it looks like you're an attaboy kind of candidate. I usually work.
I really appreciate that.
I usually work to try to find the contact mailing address, but I'm sure I'm okay in this case.
We'll make sure you get it. Everybody, if you get a chance, tweet out John Minck, Minck, and 10 attaboys, TENATTABOYS.
20. I'm giving him 10.
We're not going to mess with his branding. And John, the very best for a wonderful 2021. I hope that you and your family are well. Thank you for serving your wife. Thank you for serving your family. Thank you for serving your country. And we'll have you back sometime again if you'll come back.
I will. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Good night. Chris, what do you think of that guy?
Amazing. I wish that I can only hope that I have such an exciting life.
Yeah, what a joy it was to get to know him. Well, Chris, take a minute and tell us a little bit as we pull back up the Officer Down Memorial page. Tell us a little bit about who Chris Cosgriff is, why you put this thing together, and what the page is all about.
Sure. Like you said, I founded it when I was a freshman in college, which amazingly now is 25 years ago. ODMP will be having its 25-year anniversary in January of 2021. The reason I created it is because I was upset at the media, who even back in the 90s, in my opinion, was glorifying criminals and cop killers and not giving enough attention and service to the law enforcement officers who are sacrificing so much. I sat down in my dorm room and I was just learning how to code web pages at the time, and here popped out ODMP, the Officer Down Memorial page, and I've been keeping up with it for 25 years. And it's for a number of years, it's been a nonprofit organization, a 501c3, and we have a staff of folks here in Virginia and nationwide who help maintain it and continue innovating with technology to ensure that we're able to reach the entire country and in fact the entire world with the message of honoring our fallen officers.
That's amazing. So let's talk about 2020. Huge increase, almost 100% this year.
Yeah, 2020, because of COVID, we're just seeing numbers that really we've never seen before in history. In a typical year, on average, or even by decade, in the 2010s, the average number of officers killed in the line of duty was 167 officers per year. 2000s, between 2000 and 2010, it was 173. In the 1990s, it was 168. So it's been relatively steady over the last 30 to 40 years. 2020, unfortunately, we're at almost 300 officers confirmed killed in the line of duty, and there's still another 200 to 300 officers who have died of COVID that are going through the confirmation process. So once that process is done over the next 6 months to a year, because some of these are pretty straightforward and some of them take time to make a determination. But over the next 6 months or a year, as we finish looking into these cases and have the agencies help us out with the appropriate information, I suspect we're going to be in the 400 to 500 range, which has never happened in the history of law enforcement. Prior to now, the deadliest years were back during Prohibition, when 200 to 300 officers would be killed in the line of duty in a typical year.
Is this happening anywhere else in the world, Chris? This kind of tracking of the number of officers, and are the numbers of COVID-related deaths as dramatic per population?
Well, I can't speak to other countries when it comes to law enforcement deaths related to COVID. I can tell you that there's no other organizations that we know about that track on a national basis the line of duty deaths and provide the type of analysis that ODMP does with the mapping, the geographic mapping, the analysis of the line of duty deaths, the trends over time. And we do that, to memorialize the officers and also to act as a training tool for currently serving officers, and also as an educational tool to citizens.
So there's a couple of drivers there, right? I mean, it sounds like there's like an officer safety element. There's a public awareness element to this. Let's talk about some of the numbers. Can we put your page back up, Mike? Can we put his page back up for a sec? So one of the questions over here was, about guns and that kind of stuff. So unpack how you break this all down specifically in terms of.
Sure. So in a typical year, and I use that sort of excluding 2020. In a typical year, we usually break it down into three very high level categories, which would be gunfire, auto related, and then everything else, which would include natural death causes, accidental causes that don't involve automobiles, stuff like that. Those numbers have been pretty steady as far as like a increase or decrease over years. So, there's a minor fluctuation that's probably within a normal tolerance, a statistical tolerance. This year, again, with the COVID deaths, is just skewing the numbers so dramatically. When people look at it, that they all, a lot of people who aren't following it on a day-to-day basis will visit, and they'll just see this gigantic increase, and they'll think, oh wow, it's not understanding that the COVID is such a big chunk of this, and it will be for the time to come. It's gonna through early 2021, and we all of us together here on this live stream are hoping that this vaccine is out. I mean, it's already being rolled out, but we hope that it's effective and it puts an end to this, because it's just decimating law enforcement, and within law enforcement, it's sort of decimating the corrections agencies. I would say even more so than the street cop.
Yeah, Mike.
No, this is amazing. Now, I mean, sadly, Chris, we all have officers that we immediately think of whenever I visit in DC. I walk over and just north of the Washington DC Metro Police Department is the Police Memorial. I still go and I have to touch my hand on the name of friends of mine who have died in the line of duty. Chris, I know we talked about one of your good friends just a minute ago. It is a place, an anchor point, Chris, for everyone to be able to go and learn a little more about these officers and their sacrifice. Chris McDonough, I don't know if you want to just chat about your buddy for just a moment.
Well, we've actually got a couple of guys. This is Dan. Dan was a young officer. He's just on the job a couple of years. This is December 20th was his anniversary. He was on a traffic stop with another officer that I actually helped get into the department. Dan used to be what we call the public service officer. He was up at the front desk for a couple of years. Long story short, this kid from a gang from a distance took a shot at him and just got a lucky shot underneath his body armor and killed him. And the other officer that was with him, Katrina, she returned fire. She was not hit, and the suspect eventually was captured after a short evasion. And then there's another officer I didn't mention, but I need to mention Tony Zepatella in June 13th, 2003. This was a really sad case. I mean, he was a very well-known, just a vibrant human being, and there you go.
Yeah, no, I'm going to stop you because I know right where you are, and just say while Chris gathers himself, you never forget who these people are. Just the last time I was at the police memorial, there was a door off of a patrol car signed by the entire police department, and there was an officer standing guard at that door as it sat. at the memorial, and we chatted for some time. I was there actually visiting this officer right here, and this was the hat that they created for Bryce Haynes, and you can see Bryce on that list. Bryce was killed in the line of duty in San Bernardino City, and Bryce, I happened to be his clergy at one time, and his wife, a few weeks after his death, brought that hat to my home, and we visited and talked about the impact that had on her. She committed suicide 2 years later, just couldn't get past all of it. People are really impacted by this. Chris, I don't know if you want to finish off on yours.
No, I mean, Tony's son just turned 18, just graduated. His sweet wife, Jamie, is doing well, successful, and remarried. These guys left a legacy, and they named an entire Highway 76 is actually Zapatella Highway. So whenever you're going in Southern California and you're cutting from the 15 to the 5, you have to take the 76. That's Officer Zapatella's. That whole highway is named after him. So it was a sad case because he was turning to go back to his car, and the suspect rolled out, capped around, got him, ran up to him, pistol whipped him, took his duty weapon, executed him, and then took off. And we had him barricaded about 4 hours later. Anyway, the guy's in prison. I'm not even going to name him. It's not worth it.
No, it's not worth it.
Anyway,
Chris, tell us about the first gunfire death for 2020, and help people understand who that brave officer was.
Sure. It was so this year the first officer who was slain in the line of duty was Public Safety Officer Jackson Winkler, who worked for the Florence Regional Airport Department of Public Safety. This is a tiny agency for relatively, I wouldn't say rural, but certainly not in an urban area. Who you typically don't think of officers from agencies like small airports or like that being necessarily facing this type of situation. But he made a stop of a suspicious vehicle that was on airport property early in the morning. And during that stop, he was shot multiple times and killed. He was brand new to the agency. He was only 26 years old. I think he only had a few months on, if memory serves. And it was just devastating to the agent, the other agencies in that area. It's very tight knit. They're there to back each other up because they are smaller agencies. And devastating nationwide to see someone so young taken from us so tragically.
How early into 2020 did we lose our first officer?
Well, the first officer to die in the line of duty this year actually died on January 1st. And that officer died as a result of a cancer that he developed following his response to the World Trade Center site on 9/11. Aside from COVID, the 9/11 related deaths on 9/11 and then the deaths that have occurred following 9/11 as a result of cancers and other illnesses is the number one single incident line of duty death in history. And there's hundreds of officers from New York, New Jersey, other nearby states who send officers to respond to assist with the recovery and search and recovery efforts, over a period of months, who develop cancers that have been linked directly to that and have died as a result.
Yeah, that's sad. Big time. They were inhaling all of that. We had Tommy Joyce on not long ago. You may know him, Chris, but he was with NYPD forever. But he was talking about all the guys that were having cancer issues. It's crazy. But,
so, Chris, if we were to move away from line of duty that are gunshot related or traffic accident, what about the first COVID death?
So the very first COVID death happened in Detroit on March 21st, 2020. This is the first one that's been confirmed. As I mentioned earlier, we're still working through 200 plus other ones that have been reported to us that we're trying to confirm. But Captain Jonathan Parnell worked for the Detroit Police Department. He died on March 24th, 2020 of COVID. And you know, as of right now, he's the first, I should say, earliest confirmed line of duty death as a result of COVID. And, you know, a lot of these big metro areas have been hit really hard. Detroit is not alone. In fact, just at the beginning of December, nationwide well-known and beloved Sheriff Benny Napoleon died as a result of COVID as well on December 17th. This guy was a national figure. He did so many amazing things for Detroit and Wayne County over his 45 years of service. He was a Detroit police chief at one point. Just an amazing man. And unfortunately, he passed away recently as well.
Yeah, Chris McDonough, this is really mind-boggling to me that we could have 400 police officers die from COVID this year if Chris's numbers are correct.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is the real deal. You know, whatever we need to do to kind of get this stuff, under control, for lack of a better term. This is, these guys and gals, and they're on the front lines. This is war, and it's a biological war at this point, obviously, but it's war. It really is.
I mean, so Cosgriff, you're still in the saddle. Is this COVID vaccine coming quickly enough? I mean, we got a lot of police officers, 873 plus thousand police officers on the street that need immunization and the vaccine. The numbers I saw were 2 million people total have gotten the vaccine so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly, I know they're doing it as fast as they can. And for that, I applaud everyone involved with getting this vaccine out. You know, we all wish it could be faster, but you know, the reality is it can't be. There's only so
Chris,
much.
I don't know if you have any idea. I mean, we got a batch of people that are on listening right now, and the comments that are coming on are so touching. I really appreciate it. I'd like to just kind of keep on a theme here for a second. Could you tell me about the highest profile police officer we've lost in 2020?
Yeah, well, you know, I think I just mentioned him with Sheriff Benny Napoleon, well-known national figure, did so much for Detroit over so long, over 45 years in public safety and in the public eye. Just an amazing guy who, you know, I had corresponded with him personally prior to this about line of duty deaths from his agency. And he was a man of integrity and one who had the back of his officers. And unfortunately, you know, in his job, his response to COVID and keeping his officers safe, unfortunately, you know, he fell victim to that himself.
That's so incredible. You know, and again, the amazing folks that are weighing in, Darcy Ann 66, Kristen Froschheiser, your love and appreciation for the law enforcement profession is felt by us each week. And Chris, I hope, Cosgriff, you're getting a sense of this amazing group of now almost 50,000 people who are here to try to support law enforcement and do their part. And it is just really gratifying, something that sadly in the trenches you don't hear enough of.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, and I appreciate everyone's comments. And you know, it's been a tough time for law enforcement, COVID aside. And it's sometimes officers forget that there are people out here who support us. And so, you know, all of us appreciate that.
You know what's really cool? Oh, go ahead, Mike.
No, please, Chris, please go ahead.
You know what's really cool? I mentioned to my kids, you know, over the holidays, I said, hey, you know, if you get an opportunity and you see these guys and gals, just when you pull up alongside them, just roll your window down and say, hey, thank you. Okay. And just watch. They're going to be blown away. They're not going to understand what just happened, boy, Mike, to our family, to our PE family, if you get that opportunity, going through the holidays here, coming up in, New Year's and stuff, just pull up alongside them, firefighters, nurses, doctors, whoever, cops, just tell them thank you. That's all it takes. About a minute, just takes a minute. So anyway,
I went to the convenience store the other day. I passed a guy writing a report in the back of the library, and he was tucked away, and I could see his head down. So I went over, and I bought a bunch of junk food at the grocery or at the mart. And I pulled up, but I made sure I had my badge out as I'm pulling up, because we've all been approached by that, And I pulled up, and he rolled down his window and he started laughing. He said, thanks. And I handed him a bunch of Cokes and a bunch of chips and a bunch of stuff, and it was all prepackaged. And I said, hey, I just wanted to tell you, I hope you're having a good day, and thanks. And you would have thought I'd given him $1 million, and and it was the worst kind of gift I could give. It was just crappy junk food.
I'm glad you qualified that. Don't pull up alongside them. Just if you're at a light, then roll your window down and wave at them.
Yeah.
Don't surprise them. And we had a guy like that had all those snacks on the floorboard of the passenger seat, Mike. We used to call him Pac-Man. Chris, do you know a guy like that on your squad? That's just after shift change, you're getting in your car and you look over and you go, dude, what did you eat? The 7-Eleven?
Of course, I think every department's got one. Right?
Okay, he's got a new name, Pac-Man. Anyway, next.
So Joanne Zupanik is saying, do you recognize canine officers? I'm not sure exactly. Do you recognize dogs?
Yeah,
I think that's what she's saying there.
Yeah, we in fact, we have a whole portion of the organization dedicated to honor and fallen canines. So if you just go to odmp.org/canine, it's sort of a landing page for fallen canines. The most recent of which, unfortunately, happened on Sunday, early Sunday morning around 1:30 a.m. There's a canine was killed. His handler had conducted a traffic stop on an interstate in Illinois, and a drunk driver ran into the back of the cruiser, and unfortunately, canine Loki didn't survive.
Yeah, and that was such a great picture that was broadcast all over with Loki with the goggles on, and yeah, what an amazing thing. Well, Cosgriff, McDonough and I are old now, and I just got to know what's the oldest.
I'm not letting the old man in.
What's the oldest officer we've lost this year, and what can you tell us about him?
Sure. The oldest one who died this year was Deputy John. He goes by Sonny Kuhar from Cambria County, Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, he fell to COVID. He was 79 years old, and he had, I believe, 60 years of law enforcement service. So he started as a cop when he was 19 years old, and you could do that back then. And he served almost, I think, without break until 2020, and unfortunately he died at the end of November. I can't even imagine, but most people I'm talking to now just, they're just can't wait until they hit that 20 years or 25, whenever they can retire and, out. But he is, the true epitome of a true cop.
That's remarkable. 60 years on the job. And when I hit my 30s, I started really feeling the bumps and bruises in a good old fashioned bar fight or something. And I'm sure that some of his duties were much lighter, but to love the job so much that you would stay in it for 60 years is absolutely remarkable.
Yeah, it really is. And, he's not alone in doing that. Every year, sadly, we'll have someone in sort of that age group, or that many years of service, who still at it on the job and has died on the line of duty.
Wow.
There's a question here, and folks, please feel free to ask Chris Cosgriff of Officer Down Memorial Page any questions over the next little bit here. Do you have the names or how many officers per department? Is it broken down on the site? I think the question is, and can you research by my state or my city or other ways?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's over 24,000 fallen officers going back in history to the formation of the country in the 1700s. We're about to hit 25,000, unfortunately. Every single one of those 24,000 officers, 24,000 plus officers, has a complete bio about who they were, how they were killed, where they were killed, spanning not only the United States, but officers who were either federal agents or local officers who were killed overseas through their duties. For example, there's a lot of federal officers who obviously have some sort of law enforcement responsibility overseas. There's even been NYPD officers who were killed overseas while on an investigation. Like I said, we have a complete bio for each of them. We map out where they were killed. So on the individual memorial for each officer, it will show where they're killed. If you go, you can look at an agency level. It will list all the officers. It will have a map of where all those officers were killed, either in their city, county, state, the country. You can search by name, by agency, by city. You can browse by name, by year, by location, by state. So it's a very robust system that we have, and we do that so we try to make it easy for people to be able to find officers quickly, whether it's an officer they knew or they're just interested in seeing which officers were killed maybe from their hometown or their state.
Yeah, I just pulled another one up. Paul Verna, Verna. He was LAPD motor officer that was on a traffic stop, and suspect rolled out, shot him, handed the gun off to his partner, to shot him 5 more times. And I was on the surveillance team that took the suspects down. There he is. Yeah. Anyway, his son is on the department. He's a motor today, and he wears his father's badge. How's that for you?
That's pretty awesome. Actually.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. Well, Chris, we decided to do something for you and for our viewers. I'm going to ask this question first. JRJRS, it said, is there anyone in Canada doing this that you're aware of?
So we actually used to run a Canadian version of ODMP. Unfortunately, several years ago, because of our resources and our limited mission, we did have to decommission it. There is a Canadian law enforcement memorial. However, it's more of a physical memorial. They don't necessarily do the same sort of, they don't have the same sort of online presence that we do here in America.
What do you got up your sleeve, Mike?
I've got a little bit of audio problem, so I just, it looks like I'm back now. Thank you for that. It'd be interesting to see if there's a way to help other countries adopt a program similar to what you've built. But Chris, what we did is we built a little website, or a little page that people can go to. If we could bring that up, what we have done is taken the numbers that you've given us for 2020 of the officer deaths. And folks, this shows all of the line of duty deaths. If the back office could click on one of those that they're scrolling through right now on the list, it'll take you in. You can learn more about that officer. You can go out to the Officer Down Memorial website. You can, by clicking on that again, it'll just take you back out to the regular map, and you can kind of see by the area who these heroes are. You can also see the statistics of deaths by month, etc. Pretty simple little thing, but a way for people to explore. But again, we want to drive them back, Chris, to your website and a place where they can really dig deep into the information. I assume you have a spot there where they can also make donations to the cause. Is that correct?
Yes, we do. The organization, like I said, it's a nonprofit 501c3. So we rely completely on the generous donations of our visitors. And we have an online store that sells merchandise honoring fallen officers as well. So, all of our ability to do this, to remember these fallen officers, is made possible by our visitors. So, we welcome donations from anybody. Any donors who do make a donation get a supporter decal that they can put on their car or put on their window, at home, or give to someone else who might be special to them in law enforcement. We have both regular decals, and for those, we got that question about ODMP K9. We also have ODMP K9 decals that if you donate to support ODMP K9, you can get a decal that way.
That's fantastic. Folks, Chris Cosgriff, the executive director of the Officer Down Memorial Page and a full-time police officer. Chris, may you and the officers that you now supervise and your entire department, frankly, all of our police officers, enjoy a safe remainder of the year. And God bless you in the work you're doing, brother.
All right. Thank you, Mike. And thank you, Chris, for having me on. It's a privilege to be here and to be able to spread our message to, people who may not have been exposed to it yet.
Absolutely. Stay safe.
Honored to have you. Thanks again. Will you come back?
Absolutely.
Great. We'll have you back again. Thanks again, Chris.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
God bless.
I'll tell you what, isn't that just gut-wrenching to think of the number of officers and families that have been impacted this year, Chris?
Yeah, I think that's the other side of it, the magic, what you said, Mike, the families. I think you and I both know the surviving families, and, we know the guys, but, when you get guys like this, from high school, from college, he's sitting there, he's got the skills, he creates this website, and look at the many lives that he's touching. I mean, he changed our lives tonight. I mean, he brought some memories, right?
But wasn't that amazing? Just the fact that we throw a name out and that guy almost knows the story of every one of these officers. And the comments coming in from folks is just so gratifying to see how they appreciate him. Bridget B, just all the love to this family. It's just amazing. Well, Chris, this has been a crazy year. We can only hope that 2021 settles down.
Oh my gosh.
I just I can't believe it. Now, I wanted to touch on a couple things.
Okay.
I wanted to invite Ellie Green to come on tonight, and she wasn't aware of what has been going on in her mom's case. The police have kept that pretty close to the cuff, and of course we knew because we shared some information with the police that led to a search warrant. We continue to work behind the scenes on the Angela Green missing person case, and folks, we'll have Ellie back in a couple of weeks, but Chris, I talked to her on Christmas Day, and I don't know why I can't get over this, that this child didn't have one family member invite her to come over for Christmas, and so she ended up celebrating with friends, and thankfully she has lovely friends who threw their arms around her and brought her into their home, and she shared some really fun photos from Christmas, and she looked like she was just having a great time. But I just found myself just so troubled that she's lost her mom and she doesn't even have family reaching out to her.
Yeah. So the bottom line here is, Dad, step up. Come on. Seriously. I mean, the Dad needs to step up, whatever it is, whatever it is.
She needs to be with family at Christmas and during the holidays.
Yeah.
But an amazingly strong girl. We're going to continue to dig in. What about let's talk for a moment about Suzanne Morphew.
Yeah, well, she's Mother's Day's coming again. And Barry, I guess, was out at the Safeway passing out flyers with the sheriff, and good for him. But you're still invited to come to PE. Come on, we'd love to talk to you. No strings attached. We're going to help you find Suzanne, like we've helped Andy. And we're still behind the scenes working this thing. Trust me.
Well, and Yeah, that's really what it's all about is there a way and can we help? And folks, we remain vigilant on that case as well. I think some of you have questioned if we're doing anything. We are continuing to work behind the scenes. We have great hopes for a new DA coming in. There may be a circumstantial case that needs to be considered, and hopefully there's someone that will have the courage to look at that. And of course, there's so many things we don't know that we're just talking out of school to even theorize. But we're not going away. We received an email on Christmas Day from Andy and his sister Melinda and Dave. And the family wanted to express to all of you their gratitude for the way in which you have reached out and tried to help in the search for Suzanne. They have great hopes that the new year will bring a new investment in helping find her. And so just know that we continue to search with them. There have been some questions, Chris, about Echo Lloyd, and Echo's daughter is still working on the paperwork that we provided to her. So we'll continue to work there. But we've picked up 3 new cases that we're kind of looking at. One, the Randy Lynch case with Adventures with Purpose. Today we spent nearly 3 hours with the investigators in that case, talking through some things. We hope to continue to be able to give Adventures with Purpose some information of places that might be more probable to search. And then we're looking at 2 additional cases, Molly Miller, and we're also looking at, Chris, what the other case is?
William McKenzie.
William McKenzie, yeah, whose mother we had on. And again, folks, we apologize that we had some audio problems, but boy, wasn't she a rock of a human being.
Yeah, she's a rock star. In fact, she just sent some information back today. I just got it back. So I'll be putting that up into the evidence room up in the vault there. So you and I can start taking a look at it. And yeah, I mean, there's another mom who's looking for her child over Christmas. And, then we're committed to helping these people. I mean, hopefully we get lucky and, because you and I both know it's citizens that solve crimes. It's investigators that put all the puzzles together. But you have to be willing to accept the fact that you don't know everything as an investigator. And hopefully, we've got Suzanne. Hopefully those investigators, had a good Christmas, and that the task force worked really hard. And they took Christmas Day off, and on the 26th, they went back to work to find Suzanne. And I hope they're reaching out to the citizenry, which it sounds like they are, and they're getting leads, and then they're chasing those leads. I think, ultimately, that's the diligence. You have got to be a bulldog and keep moving.
Yeah.
You can't stop. And so, Mackenzie her name is Frances. Frances is a perfect example. This poor mom is going out to rivers with a magnet and it's attached to a string. She is throwing this magnet into the river looking for cars. And Sweet Jared comes around from, Adventures with Purpose and says, hey, time out, we can help you. So these are the type of, desperate emotional traps that families get into without, other people coming to their aid and lifting. And I have a philosophy. I've always had this. The greatest exercise we will ever do is to lift somebody else up. And the more we do that collectively, and Mike, as you always talk about, crowdsource intelligence and open source, bringing everybody to the piece of the puzzle here, I think some of these cases are going to be solved. I mean, poor Jared's doing an incredible job over there.
Yeah, well, I'm with you 100%. I mean, I've watched now, as I've been digging in to the Molly Miller case, and looking at the phone information and the water systems and the different pieces of collateral eyewitness accounts, we're starting to zone in on some areas that are really interesting. But again, I mean, these are old cases, and the way it's going to get solved is the people that know something getting the courage to step up and do the right thing, whether it's Suzanne Morphew, Angela Green, Molly Miller, William McKenzie, Randy Leach. It's time, folks, that we step up and do the right thing, because you have the answers, and there are families that are anguishing without it. I want to just open up for anyone that has questions for us. If you've got some questions, fire them up. The back office will throw them up on the screen, and we'll try to answer them. But while we're waiting for that, I want to also bring up, I knew the police chief in Rockford, Illinois very well, the former police chief, Chet Epperson, who's now been gone for some time. I was so sad to see the homicides that occurred at the bowling alley in Rockford in the last couple of days, and to watch what's going on there with Duke Webb, a soldier who apparently had something snap. And we're starting to learn more about that case, including learning whether there are some significance around the race of the victims, the location. We were able to uncover some things on Webb's personal business that he had, and some LLCs that he formed. So there's some kind of interesting things that we're chasing there. But again, whether it means anything or not, I don't know. But that was a pretty rough one too, Chris. Three dead, 3 injured.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy out there. There was this IACP. Did you see the report today that they put up? There's 100% increase in homicides since COVID. And the majority of those impacted, okay, those who are obviously, in the lower socioeconomic, bracket. That's horrendous. That's horrendous. I mean, we can do better as a society. And so there's a question here that says, what defines a cold case 1 year? Mike, you want to grab that?
Yeah.
Or what do you think?
I think that's a pretty easy one. I think we get trapped into it being a time frame, don't we? But it really is when the officers run out of leads. That's when a case becomes cold, and that could happen immediately, or it could take some time. I'll let you take this one, Chris. Have you guys been able to speak with Salida investigators? I'm glad I let you take this one. The Salida investigators, or are they not available to you?
Well, okay, so that is a great question. So here's the position Michael and I always take. Okay. And so the one thing we don't want to do is influence an investigation in any way, shape, or form. Because if we come up with some ideas and then we call them and say, hey, did you think about A, B, C, or D? A defense attorney is going to have a field day with that in court, because they're basically going to take our backgrounds and they're going to say, well, you guys were agents of the state, and therefore anything that they took could potentially be what they call fruit of the poisonous tree. Okay? And if they put it into a warrant or something to that effect. Now, if we happen to find it and we happen to turn it over without even talking to them, just saying, like a citizen, because we're retired. Okay? Hey, I found this, take a look at it. You're good to go, because now that becomes a tip. Okay. And that's just information that they can run with. So to answer your question, I hope, that helps. So we don't want to be on that. We don't want to be in that lane.
That's a tough one. And we've had that opportunity to do that. Sophie H., will Profiling Evil be on Thursday doing a New Year's Eve live? I don't believe so, Sophie. But if you're having a rough night and you need somebody to talk to, we're always here for you. But I don't know if you've kind of seen a little bit of a shift. We're going to keep the choir practice going, and then we're going to supplement with all kinds of stuff at other times, and try not to stick to a specific night. But Sophie, we're always there to visit. Yeah. So, Chris, go for it. It's your town.
No, I know the case. And there was a theory of whether or not he was the very first victim of the Zodiac killer. I will tell you right now, there is an investigator by the name of Sylvia Guzman. She's working the cold case at my old agency, and hopefully she connects those dots. We shall see. Now that they believe they have the code broken, but we'll see. Sylvia is very competent and very capable, so we'll see what happens. But let's all cross our fingers.
I want to go back to the comment about the number of homicides and whether it's COVID related. I don't know what the relational how that's going to break out and whether it is relational to COVID. But I'll tell you one thing, Chris, that troubles me is with the pressure that's been placed on police and the lack of backing that I see so many officers getting from administrations and the governing body. I wonder how much of it has to do with enforcement not being what it should be. There was a reason why New York City evolved in Giuliani's days, and I'm not a Giuliani fan, but there was a reason they started shaking people down that were on the street up to no good. And I think we're seeing a complete reversal of some of those policies. And I worry that when we see numbers in Chicago or other places that seem to be climbing, if it's in relationship to the amount of street checks that are happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's the old saying, when good becomes evil and evil becomes good, and these guys and gals are they're just responding to calls. That's what's happening, and you can't blame them. I mean, they're getting out of the car and they're being shot, they're being accosted, they're being just it's horrendous of what's happening out there. Do you think the Zodiac is from San Francisco or Cali, Mike?
Good golly, Ms. Molly.
Yeah, San Fran or Cali. Yeah, exactly, right? Go figure. Ghirardelli, best chocolate in the world up there in San Fran.
No, we have not, Nicole Marie, we have not heard back from the Delphi investigators. I don't think we'll hear back from them. So the bigger question is, have we reached out to them? And no, we haven't. There are so many cases and so little time to be able to provide a little thought and opinion on, but we are trying. So thank you. So folks are asking, how can they help the evidence room? And if we could pull that up, folks, if you have not taken advantage of profilingevil.com and going to the evidence room to submit information, it's the best way to supply information. The beauty of that is that we can then categorize it. We can lump it together with other similar cases in situations where it's information that should go on to law enforcement. We can bundle that up and send it to law enforcement. Otherwise, it becomes collateral that we can try to work from and pull together cases on. So please consider using the evidence room. And Chris, I don't know, what you want to take Helen Girl 55s?
Sure. Can you have a live stream for members or all just questions from us? Sure. I think we're open to that, Mike. I mean, we're always open to that. That's a great idea. Absolutely. We love talking to you guys. I mean, a little chit chat like this. Welcome. That's what kind of Mondays are all about. Just fire off the questions and, we'll talk to you. So, but yes. And then say hello to Portugal. I saw Paula from Portugal just came in. So welcome. What time is it in Portugal, Mike? Do you know? Anybody know? Paula, what time is it in Portugal? Put it up in the chat here, over here. I don't know any Portuguese other than obrigado.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you probably didn't hear a thing I said, did you?
Crazy. What a perfect.
I spun the plates.
Yeah. Here we go. Can you hear me, Chris?
Yeah. Yes, I got you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you. Oh, what did you get for Christmas, Mike? That's one of the questions. What did you get for Christmas? That's yours. What did you get for Christmas? What did you get for Christmas? What? I'll tell you what I got. Okay. I got just a cool double screen for my laptop. It's one of those things that slides out. Off the hook. Off the hook. Mike, what did you get for Christmas? He still can't hear me. He still can't hear me.
Well, I'm out of business, so
But Mike is falling and Mike's falling and he can't get up. Press the button.
I can't hear a word and I can't read lips. So, Chris, I'll let you sign us off and wish everyone the very a wonderful New Year's, and we'll see them next Monday night.
Okay, you heard it, everybody. We love you guys. Hopefully, coming up, you'll have a very safe New Year's. Please be safe. Please be safe. Don't drink and drive. Get a friend just in case, and tell those public safety servants out there that you really appreciate them. Don't surprise them. Just pull up alongside and wave. And Mike loves you. Go get his book, please. It's going to be a movie one day. And we'll see you on the next one. Thank you. God bless and be safe.